Welcome to The Explainer. Let's just get right to it. The world we all thought we knew, it's gone. That era of global cooperation has been replaced by a new age of really intense, high-stakes competition. The old rulebook has been completely thrown out, and today we're going to dig into the new rules being written, rules of power and of profit. You know, for decades, we all lived with this pretty comforting idea called do commerce, or sweet commerce. The thinking was that if we all just trade with each other, peace will naturally follow. It was a nice idea, wasn't it? Well, reality has hit hard. That era is over. Now a country's security isn't about market share, it's about military superiority. There's actually a name for this new reality, the geopolitical recession. But don't think of it like a stock market crash. This isn't really about money. It's a crisis of trust, a world where being resilient, being tough, matters way more than being efficient. So what does this new world actually look like on the ground? Let's dive in. Okay, so if you're a nation state in this new low-trust world, how do you adapt? Well, it's about a lot more than just buying more tanks and planes. We're talking about a fundamental re-engineering of entire economies to operate in a state of permanent conflict. This is really the birth of a 21st century war economy.
And if you want a perfect example of this massive change, you don't have to look any further than the European Union. For years, the EU was the poster child for soft power. Diplomacy, trade, culture. Now, it's like they've swapped their whole playbook. It's all about military capacity and strategic independence. Honestly, if you'd predicted this just a few years ago, people would have thought you were crazy.
And this isn't just talk, it's happening. The EU is building a whole new defense infrastructure from the ground up, with new institutions and billions of euros pouring in. The war in Ukraine has become this brutal but incredibly effective real-world R&D lab for new military tech. And in what you could call a masterstroke of marketing, they're even rebranding the defense industry as sustainable to open up huge new streams of investment. But this shift isn't just happening at the government level. Corporations are getting drafted into this new great game. They're being forced to navigate a world where a supply chain can be cut off overnight. They're no longer just businesses. They're geopolitical players, whether they want to be or not.
So, for any global company, this all boils down to one critical question. In a world of what is essentially economic warfare, how do you keep your business from becoming a casualty? How do you survive?
Well, it seems they're throwing out the old business school textbooks and writing a new one. And the new strategy is pretty simple and pretty brutal. It comes down to two questions. Is the threat real and immediate? And can we actually do anything about it? If the answer to both is yes, they act. They move production, they secure their supply chains, and they prepare for a much more hostile world. The takeaway here for the corporate world is crystal clear. Understanding international relations, military strategies, sanctions, that's not some niche expertise anymore. It's a fundamental skill for survival, just as important as reading a balance sheet.
Okay, so we've talked about strategy. Now let's talk about the hardware. Let's look at the numbers and the actual technology that are shaping the conflicts of today and tomorrow. That number, it's staggering. Global military spending has soared past $2.75 trillion. But here's the key thing. This isn't your grandfather's arms race. The real money, the smart money, is pouring into entirely new domains. AI, cyber, space, the new frontiers of conflict. And what's so fascinating here is how everyone seems to be looking at the same future. The US is focused on massive swarms of autonomous drones. China is chasing what they call algorithmic superiority with AI. The UK is investing in smart, low-cost defensive systems. It all points in one direction. The future of war belongs to whoever masters software, AI, and autonomous systems. But with all this incredible high-tech gear, the goal is actually to solve a surprisingly old-school problem. How do you fight a war without going bankrupt? And right here, this is the core of it. This is the unsustainable math of modern conflict. You just cannot win if you're consistently spending $2 million to destroy a $10,000 threat. It's a losing economic proposition. You'll run out of money long before the other side runs out of cheap drones. So the holy grail that everybody is searching for is economic symmetry. And nations are racing to develop these game-changing technologies. We're talking about laser systems with virtually unlimited shots for pennies on the dollar, cheap jammers that can knock out an entire drone swarm, and smart interceptors that can do the job for a fraction of the cost. And this revolution isn't just about the weapons themselves, it's also about logistics. This concept, expeditionary manufacturing, is basically a 3D printing factory in a box.
It's meant to completely transform military supply chains, allowing armies to produce what they need right where they need it. So, what does this all add up to? Where are we headed? Well, it looks like we're settling into a new normal, an era of hybrid conflict, where the old lines between peacetime and wartime, between a corporation and a state, have just been completely erased. You can really see three powerful trends defining this new era. First, active war zones have become the world's most effective R&D labs. Second, the defense industry and the state are becoming more and more integrated. And third, the whole world of global finance is being rewired to fund this new age of competition.
So this is the new reality. Let's call it the hybrid survival doctrine. A world where the winners aren't just the ones with the best quarterly earnings, but the ones with the sharpest foresight, the most agile technology, and above all, the most resilience. It's a whole new game. And all this leaves us with a final, pretty unsettling question to think about. In a world that seems to be re-engineering itself for permanent conflict, what does winning even look like anymore? That's the new global reality. Thanks for watching The Explainer.